Lender Bridge Corporate has applied for business rescue. George, Nell and Cliff Coombe are in the studio with us now to talk about this more. Cliff, as the director of Bridge, let's start with you. It's obviously a tough time for the company. Just set the scene for us. Bridge, how big is it? How big is the book? And why are you going for business rescue at this point?
David, yes, thank you. Roughly 18 months ago, the company was put together by a merger of quite a number of smaller players. We're looking at about R1 billion at that point in time. A small player for the industry, really not one of the big guys, but a healthy little business, obviously providing lots of jobs in the region of 500-600 people employed, and a number of investors. In this market, one does need to have our stock, in essence, is money, so we need to have the money to put into the market. And at this point, due to the circumstances in the market, we were unable, and recently had heard from some potential investors that they would indeed not be going ahead with any funding in the sector in the short to medium term, which then caused us to take some serious
because you borrow money in order to lend money. That's essentially how it works. African Bank, that's what knocked you.
Well, you know, one wouldn't want to point fingers at specific other.
No, but it's an event that's happened.
It is an event, and obviously the markets have reacted to it. Investors that we've been speaking to for months have just announced to us that they will no longer participate in the market. This brings the board to a point where we need to make some serious decisions. I mean, we are looking at a lot of people's money invested in this entity. We are employing a lot of people. So we had to say, how do we restructure? I'd like to use the word aggressively. How do we aggressively restructure the company, taking into account all the stakeholders' points of view? And you know, it's going to be tough. It's going to touch everyone, yeah. And we need a collective bargaining platform. Want to make one point clear: we are not. This is not a closing down sale. We're definitely not looking at liquidation. We're simply saying, what mechanism can assist us in taking this business through tough times that are lying ahead for every business in South Africa, but especially for us. So it was suggested by the CEO that we look into business rescue, and after lots of deliberation, it was decided to go that route, simply because it gives us a mechanism to speak to all the guys influenced by this, and to give everyone an opportunity to come in, say their say, and be part of the business rescue plan.
George, can you rescue Bridge Capital?
Yes, definitely so. In the end of the day, it will be the creditors that must vote a plan in. 75% of the creditors must vote for the plan. So there will be some kind of compromise, and it will be in the hands of the creditors at the last instance.
George, looking, you presumably have some experience in this field, and it's a difficult business that you have to do. Now, how does this one look coming in? Is this an ambulance case? Is this in the middle of the scale when it comes to business rescues? And what do you look for? What are the things you look for to tell you, I can save this because that number tells me I can, or I can't?
Okay, I've only been in office for 2 days, so take that into consideration.
But you said you could save it.
Yeah. It is, the definition of save is also a better dividend than in liquidation, so you can easily say that. But in this specific case, the board of directors, I think, worked quickly and foresaw that there is some problems in the future, and they went for business rescue at a very early stage. So the earlier you go for business rescue, the more possible you can save that company. So at this stage, only in office for 2 days, it is still my view, and there will be my view till it changes, that I can save this company. Not me, the process can save the entity.
What needs to be implemented to save it?
Well, savings, definitely so. We've got a big machine that's borrowing money, lending money out and borrowing money, and that machine must shrunk. Otherwise, the overheads will be too big, and the investors, we need some new investors, but to enable this specific value to be kept in place, we need to cut overheads, definitely.
Cliff, it must be difficult. I mean, you said the name Bridge Corporate is only a year or so old, 18 months or so old. So you haven't the brand that an African brand has, which was a strong brand. So you've almost got into trouble before you really got going, having formed this company. So what are you going to rely on here in terms of reputation?
Well, two things. Firstly, the business has been in existence for nearly 20 years. It's essentially come a long way. It's changed name and so on. So there's a lot of investor confidence. And what we've seen in the early stages of this process, obviously it is a bit of a shock to the system because people do not yet understand business rescue. I believe it's a new mechanism in the market. So it has taken our guys by surprise, especially the investors, but we're already seeing a positive attitude from a number of guys coming together and making suggestions, coming out and saying we can assist this, we can assist that. So essentially being a smaller player, the company belongs to all those investors. So there's no way we can turn our back on our own investment, our own money. There's no institutional money in here. The guys have got to roll up their sleeves, get in there with us and make sure we pull this thing through. So I think we do have a lot of investor confidence from a lot of the guys who've been with us for a number of years. That's the one thing. We have a strong management team. The guys who've been there have been there for quite some time. We understand the market. We believe the market is alive and well. We're only into 6 month loans, so it's a short term. Our bad debts are completely in control. We're very happy with how that's performing. So we feel we have the fundamentals. They're all perfect. We just didn't have stock. We don't have stock to put into a machine that we've built.
So you can't grow the business.
We're under capacity. We have an engine that can put 100 million rand a month into the market brilliantly, but we do not have that stock to put into the market. So now we have to take some serious looks at it, cut down on the investor returns and cut down on the size of the machine, and then we will still be a player in 2 or 3 years.
George, just very quickly before we go, you've been in office for 2 days now. Do you take one business at a time? And perhaps the reason I'm asking that is this the trend that we're going to be seeing in the unsecured lending space, or is this just businesses in general that are in trouble?
Business in general is in trouble in South Africa, different sectors, but specifically this sector is in trouble after African Bank as such. You take one, like a big one like this, it's a small role player, but it's a big business rescue. You'll take just this one specific one and try to put it through. There's a lot of work in this, and I have to balance all the rights of all role players.
George, you've also got, and the comment was made with African Bank too, it's to tell people who have borrowed money, because you're not looking at depositors' money.
Yes.
It's the investors and it's the borrowers.
That is so, yes.
So these guys are out there, they've got a temptation or maybe a genuine thing. You say, okay, these guys are going out of business, I don't have to pay my bills. So a key thing there, I mean, what is that exposure that you have to those borrowers? How much is owed to the bank? And of course, you've got to make sure that they pay it back.
The figures must, Cliff must answer that. In regard to they must pay us back, definitely so, in terms of the agreements. That is the business of this entity. But we need money to put into the system again to make some money come out of the system. But the figures, maybe Cliff can assist us there.
I think the book is stable. It's been out there for quite some time. We have a lot of return business. Guys know that we are there. They keep coming back. Our problem would rather be at this point that we cannot assist in granting more credit to people because we simply do not have any stock on the shelves.
So the model is that you have to keep getting more in order to grant more, in order to service what you've got already?
No, I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's rather a situation of growth. So when we built the company 18 months ago, we did it on certain projections to be a player of a certain size, and therefore we approached a lot of institutional investors, and those guys want to know that you are sizable enough of a player. And that's why we had the infrastructure that we had, and we kept it going right up to this point. And it's at this point where the board's made a decision to say, look, it's clear that no institutional funding will be coming our way, and therefore we need to make some serious decisions and get everyone on board.
Just give us the idea of the numbers though. How many clients do you have, and what's the total outstanding at the moment?
Yeah. It'd be difficult for me to give you an exact figure, and I wouldn't want to throw numbers around without the finance guys backing that up. But we've got a client base of in excess of 400,000 people who have been in the past or currently, and that's not the current book, so I wouldn't be able to speak to that. But it's a massive number of people that have been assisted by Bridge over the last number of years coming back to our branches to assist them.
Is there a fee for business rescue?
Yes, there is a fee. The
How
company
much?
must pay the fee. In terms of this type of appointment, it is 2,000 Rand an hour, VAT inclusive, for the business rescue practitioner, to a maximum of 25,000 Rand a day. Only a senior business rescue practitioner can take this appointment, and you'll be involved. The average figures of the CIPC is 5.7 months the general business rescue takes you.
George, what do you have to do to become a business rescue practitioner?
I'm,
What qualifications and what experience?
By incident, I'm a practicing lawyer for the last 25 years. I've got a master's degree in compromises and company law, and you have to have certain experiences. This act was only enacted on the 1st of May 2011, so it is still a very new part of the law, and we're trying to practice it as good as we can with the assistance of the companies and the CIPC. The other type of guys you'll find in this space is auditors and maybe guys with MBAs and so on. But there's not a lot of us sitting around.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. That was Senior Business Rescue Practitioner, that's George Nell, and Cliff Coombe. He's a director at Bridge Capital or Bridge Corporate.